Back with us on the Sports Match Zone, we continue to talk football. Earlier on this Monday, the Jamaica Football Federation unveiled the man it has placed in temporary charge of the Reggae Boyz, Paul Hall. Hall, who was assistant to the previous head coach, Theodore Whitmore, says his objective is to get results.
We've got to pick a group of players who are going to win us a game of football. And that's the policy. You know, we've got to pick the best players who are going to win us games of football. Now, that might change from Mexico to Costa Rica to Panama. However, the squad must be committed. That's one thing that I have always shown, and I would expect commitment from each and every player. And I would also expect that squad to be able to have the resilience and the materials to be able to beat a Mexico, a Panama, a Costa Rica, a Canada. It's really important that we have the players in the group who can go out and win us a game of football, and that's the policy in the short term.
Hall was a member of the Reggae Boyz squad that qualified for the 1998 World Cup in France. He's the holder of a UEFA A coaching license. So you were asking me off air, Lance, what question may have prompted that kind of response from Paul Hall?
Yeah, he said, you know, you've got to use your best players to get the results that you want. Makes me wonder if he feels there have been instances in this World Cup qualifying campaign so far that Coach Theodore Whitmore did not opt for his best players. And there were times when, you know, players like Javon Watson at 38 years old, his place in the starting roster was questioned, even though he did play a role. But I'm just getting a sense from what Paul Hall just said that he will be trying to ensure that the best players are on the field at all time. And I'm not sure if Watson is one of the best.
Well, there's a theory I have. So that's one. So let's discuss theories here, Mariah. So that reasoning is sound. What could also have happened is this. Maybe he was asked about certain players being played out of position when there were specialist players in the squad who were benched. And so he's saying, well, regardless, and that would have come about because you are tailoring your team to the strength of the opponent. So you play a player out of position because you believe that he gives you a better impact in that position than perhaps a specialist on the bench. And he's saying, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm playing my best players in their preferred position, regardless of who the opposition is. That could also, I'm interpreting, be the question that he was responding to, necessitating that kind of explanation.
Yeah, and you know, apart from talking about that, he went on to say that he's expecting commitment from all of the players and he's hoping that he can get that. And that is something that I think we have to also analyze, George and Lance, because apart from putting your best players on the field, remember they had issues with the integration. A lot of these senior players were missing and whatnot. And I feel like that's a very key point because getting and expecting that commitment from the players and, you know, getting that respect from them will have a massive part to play if the Reggae Boyz are to go on and win anything.
Well, you know, I think that Theodore Whitmore would have cured, well, not even cured, he would have presided over the part of the program where there were integration issues. And I'm thinking that Paul Hall is getting the baton now at a time when those integration issues are not a factor anymore because, you know, as a seasoned squad. And perhaps it is that perhaps early in Whitmore's reign, there were people who were, did I make the right decision playing for Jamaica, some of the big name boys? But no, the wool has been dyed to the extent you can't undye it. Yes. So Michael Antonio can never play for another national team, fully committed to the Reggae Boyz, or at least we hope. So I think that's where we are going forward. Now, Hall also suggested that there will be a change in how the team plays.
I like to build play. I like to get the midfield players on the half turn, playing forward. It's not necessarily a formation, it's a style. So whether you play 3-4-3, 3-5-2, 4-3-3, the players all know what style they're playing in. They want to be able to play the ball around corners, play off 1 and 2 touch, circulate the ball really quickly and make it difficult for people to get close to you. So it's really, really important that we get the work into the players. Like I said, in the short term, it's quite difficult to make that happen straight away. But there are things like reacting in the transition, winning the ball back quickly and getting the ball forward as much as we can. in a controlled manner, and really just be an attacking based team. That for me is the way how we do it.
Can he do it in the time that he has available? He did mention that time is short. Can he do that? A style change?
Well, I do know that they are working on getting some friendlies. As you rightfully said just now, George, that, Tapper had a massive part to play in integrating the players and whatnot. So I feel like it's not impossible. There is a little bit of time left, but with the time left, if they really make the most of it, then maybe, yeah, for sure.
Well, they have a January fixture against Peru, which is outside of the FIFA window, which means that most of the regular players or the first choice players won't be there. So he does have a time issue in the sense of having enough opportunities to get the team playing the way he would want. Having said that, he has been the assistant coach for some time now, so he knows what he has on the plate to work with. I understand what he said logistically just now about getting the midfielders involved and getting the players forward. At the moment, the Jamaica Reggae Boyz have no other choice but to use that use that style, because they've got to win games now. There's no room for error anymore. In fact, the odds are heavily against them qualifying unless they win every single match they play from now on. And the words he's using are good words. I like what he's saying, because he sounds positive, and he sounds as if he knows exactly what needs to be done. Let's see how the players react to his leadership.
What is clear, George, is they have to change some of the things they were doing before.
Yeah, but I don't... It's not that I don't think he can effect a style change in the time he has left. He can't, because you pointed out to the Peru friendly. That's one game where he won't have the bulk of the players who he'll deploy in World Cup qualifying. You can only effect a style change if you have players together. So if you have players in disparate parts of the world pulling together for a training camp just before World Cup qualifiers, you can't effect the style change. I heard what he said about how he likes to play. What I think would have been better for me is for him to say, well, this is how I like to play, but this is how we will have to play given the players I have at my disposal. Because I think that's the key. You said it at the end. So, well, you said, well, depending on the players he has.
Yes.
So I'm saying that his philosophy is fine, but his philosophy is not important. It's the philosophy that he can get this group of players to interpret on the football field, which is crucial. And I think the best hope he can have is to cobble something together and hope it works, because there is no time, not enough friendlies, not camps of the duration that can cause him to have these players play in the philosophical way that he, Paul Hall, wants to play.
I'm listening to him carefully, and to be very, very direct, my interpretation of what Paul Hall just said strikes me as if Ravel Morrison is going to play a lot more now than he did before.
Yeah.
He's the kind of player who can implement or impact a game in some of the ways that he just spoke of. So I'm just hearing him, and I'm seeing Ravel Morrison getting a lot more playing time.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. It's one thing to speak about stuff, and then it's another thing to execute. Well, we're going to take a break now with another special sporting moment from 2021. Today, the West Indies T20 captain, Kieron Pollard, is in the spotlight.
He gets it there by some distance. Kieron Pollard. No doubt about that one. He goes again. 3 in 3 for the West Indies captain. No, he can't. Make it a dose of 4 for Kieron Pollard. Oh, goodness. 5 sixes. All of a sudden, Herschel Gibbs and Yuvraj Singh start jogging your memory. Can Pollard make it 6 from 6? 6 sixes for Kieron Pollard. Herschel Gibbs, Yuvraj Singh, you have company.
difficult. I mean, it's bittersweet, if I'm being brutally honest. Theodore is a good friend and a good colleague and an ex-teammate that I had, and we have achieved some great things together. So it was a difficult thing, yet very difficult to take that position. We've exchanged messages and spoken about it, and I can assure you that he is behind us, and he will be cheering us on, and he gives us his best wishes, and I have to commend him for that, because it still must be, as it would be for anybody else, quite raw still, and but we have to continue the good work that he's done, and that's what I will be telling the players. We have to continue it. It's the nature of the beast, but we have to continue the good work that that's been done by Theodore, and try to bring this situation and try to bring it home.
That's interim head coach of the Reggae Boyz, Paul Hall. Hall was speaking today at a press conference hosted by the Jamaica Football Federation. The 49-year-old Hall stressed the need for the team to develop a playing style reflective of the culture of the people.
I would love to be able to get a style of play, introduce a style of play to Jamaica that we can get the youngsters to understand that from the younger age groups, to understand the pattern of play, the way how we go about things, and get them to be really produce world-class players. And to do that, we have to make sure that we focus on the culture. So the team must reflect the culture of the people. We must play in quite a smooth, flamboyant way that looks like we're dancing to music, all of that type of thing. That's the culture that we want, and we must not just rely on our athletic ability. We must create thinking players. We must create players who can receive balls and pass balls and really think, and psychologically strong and resilient players. And that's going to take a long time, but we must start with the young ones.
Hall also discussed the importance of getting Aston Villa star Leon Bailey to bring his club form to the international arena.
With Leon, I was a winger myself, as well as a forward, and it's about just getting him the ball all the time. Really making sure that he can get the ball and really making him feel confident that he could, if he doesn't have a particularly great moment, no problem, that's gone. Don't live in the past. Let's get in the future. Let's make sure that we focus on the next one, because what we're dealing with is a world-class player. And even world-class players have times when they're not producing the goods. So maybe we could set some goals for Leon in games. Maybe we could get Leon the ball all of the time and just make sure that he feels confident about taking people on. And if he takes somebody on 9 times out of 10, and he gets robbed 9 times, but he crosses the ball on the 10th time to be able to win us the game, that's all anybody's going to worry about and think about, and then people are going to be talking about it. It's about instilling confidence into these guys and really just believing in them and showing them that we believe in them.
We had Paul Hall there, George and Lance, saying all the right things. A little bit of time left. We have a lot of work to get done. Do you think, so apart from saying the right things, do you think that practically we can get it done with the time that we have?
Practically, it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult. The way that Paul Hall speaks of wanting the team style to be reflective of the country's culture. So what is Jamaica known for?
Dancehall.
We're known
reggae.
for our effervescence, or larger-than-life personality, or athleticism, or the premium we place on entertaining.
The pride.
Yes, and the way that our personalities are not just on our sleeves. It is all over our garments, everywhere. You see us, you see personality. So I like what he's saying there, because the way that I've wanted to see a Jamaica team play over time is the way that I've seen African teams play at World Cups over time. The way the Ghanaians played when Asamoah Gyan and those guys were in the team, and you got a certain rhythm out of them. You watched Ghana play and you felt that you were seeing a representation of what the Ghanaian people represented. The same thing with Nigeria at the France 98 World Cup. You remember Finidi George and Rashidi Yekini and Daniel Amokachi and JJ Okocha. You felt watching them. If you had never heard about a Nigerian before, you watched the football team and you were transmitted into a space where you saw them play and you say, this is what that country is about. When you look at Jamaica, you see a hodgepodge, a mishmash of things. And you don't get that. I want to see a Jamaica team play in that way, where we are faster than our opponents, where we are more inventive, where you can see us trying to impose our personality on that football team, on that football pitch. And that is sadly what no coach has been able to bring here, not even Simoes with his historic achievement. I've never in my lifetime seen a Jamaica team play reflective of what the country is about.
Right, so before we go to Lance, then my question to you is, do you think, based on what we've heard from Paul Hall, based on what you know of Paul Hall, do you think he has the capability to do that, even if to an extent?
I don't know if he can do that, but what I'm certain about is that he can't do it in the time left in this World Cup qualifying campaign, because that's not a part of his brief.
Yeah.
What he means when he speaks about that is the broader issue. If he's to take charge of Jamaica's football, that's what he will do. And if somebody else is to come after him when his interim stint is up, that's what he wants to see happen. And I'm agreeing with that, because I'm under no illusion. He's not saying he's going to do that between now and the 6 games that are left in this World Cup qualifying campaign. And that will not be a part of the brief that he's given. It's about getting results however way you can get them.
Yeah, but you know what? I hear him, and what he is saying is something I've heard for decades. But there are discrepancies in what he is saying, because the roster of a Jamaican team right now isn't reflective of football that has come through our ranks, or youth programs and so on.
It's people from different countries who didn't even grow up here.
Yes, so, you know, this, as George mentioned, is a broad issue. And from I was a youngster, I've heard, you know, technical football people talk about developing a philosophy of Jamaican football, which is what essentially Paul Hall is saying there. And that doesn't exist in Jamaica. The players who represent Jamaica now aren't players who are displaying the kind of football, for the 5% of them who grew up playing in Jamaica, they are not displaying the kind of football they grew up playing. And many of them are playing in an environment now that does not have a Jamaican culture. So I hear him, but there is a lot of work to be done if he's to get there. And as George correctly pointed out, this can't happen next year or the year after.
Yeah. And you can't
this has
teach
to be
somebody
long-term.
the Jamaican culture
this has to be something long-term.
And this comes back to what we were saying. And there were some people on our social media pages who disagreed with the point. And I'm wondering, how could somebody sensibly disagree with that point? Not because I made it, but because it's a sensible point. Here's the thing. They say nothing is impossible. You can't unfry a chicken leg. You cannot expect the coach of a senior national football team to impose a playing style and a culture. Only a dunce believes that.
Yes.
And so Paul Hall can't do that. What Paul Hall can do is philosophize and get in touch with the technical committee and lay the groundwork to say, ladies and gentlemen, this is how we're going to play from under 12, under 13, under 15, under 17, so that when Jamaica, when we send out a Reggae Boyz senior team or a Reggae Girls senior team, we see them in the blueprint. And as our producer is telling me in my ear, that's the point he made at the press conference.
Because he understands that Paul Hall is not silly.
Right.
He isn't silly.
All right.
But Jamaica doesn't have a culture of football, of developing football.
I would say to you though that the gap can be bridged, because guess what? Even though the Brazil teams that we've seen in modern day World Cups play nowhere near like the 58, the 62, the 66. Well, they didn't win, but the 70 and 82 teams played. 2002, Luis Felipe Scolari almost took them back there. The 94 World Cup winner under Carlos Alberto Pereira didn't have that. It was more workmanlike Brazil.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but 2002, you saw elements of the old-time Brazil. And that World Cup was won with players who spent much of their youth and all of their formative years away in Europe, not playing Jogo Bonito. But as Lance said, everybody knew what Jogo Bonito was, because that's what they played in the youth team at Sao Paulo, at Flamengo, at Corinthians, at Curitiba, at Cruzeiro. So the DNA was there. It's only to be reprised. There you go.
Yeah, I've been here 2.5 years. My patois still need work. Go to break.